If you are interested in not only upping your English level skill set, but also bringing home some impressive grades, stick around. Hi, my name is Kevin. I am both an English teacher and a writer who is thrilled to share some of my best study tips with all of you, native and non-native English speakers alike, who are looking to make the most of your words and improve your English speaking and writing skills. If you're interested in some of my private classes or publications, check out my website, kevindonor.com. So we're going to get right into it. I have a handful, that's about this many study tips that will definitely help you. And if you can incorporate, that is, put them into your regular routine naturally, I'm sure you will see amazing results. Number one, we're talking about paraphrasing the question. Two, learning synonyms. Sometimes I say power words that are higher vocabulary words, stronger words for everyday words. Number three, speak in complete sentences. I know it sounds simple. This isn't just for ESL students. We want to speak in complete sentences all the time and maybe speak the way that we write, even in some circumstances. Number four, this is a huge one, especially for university students. And at my time in university, when I earned my BA in English literature from Queen's, I did this all the time. I'll show you how to make a marking rubric checklist so you can make sure that you have all the necessary criteria to get the highest score possible. And finally, we're going to practice summarizing. This is a really good exercise for anybody, and I'll show you why. So the first study tip we want to talk about, and I'm going to show you different situations where it can be used, is to paraphrase the question. Definitely for IELTS, TOEFL, speaking, or also for academic writing questions, and we'll show you how you can paraphrase the question for an essay, and kind of put that into your thesis statement. So for those of you who don't know, paraphrase means to use different words to give the same meaning. Give the same meaning using different words. This is an example here from a recent IELTS Part 1 speaking question. Do you use coins in your daily life? We can paraphrase the question to begin our answer. I don't generally carry change. So in my daily life, generally would be like in your daily life. Use coins would be carry change. That's the synonym or substitute for that. So it is of little use to me. The second example of how paraphrasing the question can be really effective is for academic writing. And in this case, we're just going to look at the one page, the 250 word IELTS writing task 2 question. Reading books keeps a person's mind active, whereas watching films and TV is passive and does not require a person to use their imagination. To what extent do you agree or disagree? So this is an agree or disagree question, and you can see here, starting with a subordinate conjunction that makes a complex grammar structure, right? A multiple clause sentence. Although film and TV are visual mediums, viewers can still ponder various aspects, that is, to ponder or think about plot or character. However, books are more engaging. So we're saying both can inspire imagination, but books are better for it because they demand that the reader also not only think about the plot or character, but also picture every aspect of the story. So you're getting a description of the character, what he looks like, he or she looks like, and then you're actually coming up with that in your mind. And this applies to everything that's going on, all the action, all the settings, and things like that, or different emotions. Um, you're reading it at your own pace too. So there's different things, but the main point is to paraphrase the question here so we can see how that is achieved. Okay, the second study tip that we want to look at is using synonyms. Synonyms are huge, especially when you're taking a test like IELTS or TOEFL, and part of your mark comes from your vocabulary. We always want to learn words that are most practical, that is useful in our everyday lives. So if we look at words for common emotions, things that are important, or again, so everyday words, you see some examples here for importance, significant, crucial, vital, integral, and you see others for a common emotion like happy, and we can say elated or high spirits. Those are really common ones that you hear. Instead of saying in a good mood, you can say in high spirits. So you should be building up your vocabulary or emotions. So instead of saying angry, we don't ever need to use that word, especially in a test situation, because you won't get any points for it. But if you say enraged or furious, then you will. Same goes for academic essay words. So we can kind of build a list that is like a template. So we kind of fill in the blanks according to the different questions, but we have words that are going to come up in every essay because in every essay we're using examples and evidence to prove our point and our argument. That is our thesis or opinion statement. So we want to show something with our examples. So we can use the words illustrate or demonstrate. Um, we can show that different things, some certain things are the same, synonymous or parallel, so that I don't know, exercise might be synonymous. I would say that good physical or body health is synonymous with good mental health. They go together. They're the same. Finally, ultimately, again, if you're writing an essay for a test, use the word ultimately. Um, and it might be like overall. So it's not just final. It could be finally, but a, a better meaning of it is actually just overall. The bottom line, the most important thing to remember, ultimately, when everything is said and done, and then make that point. Basically, for speaking and writing, a greater vocabulary allows you to, again, pick your favorite favorites. So you have a variety of different words to choose from in your bag of vocabulary. It's constantly growing. It keeps it interesting for you and definitely makes it more engaging for your listener. Again, for academics, as I mentioned, kind of you can use some of these keywords to fill in the blanks for your structure of the template for any essay. So these are like words that are used for any essay, and they're valuable. Moving right along, English study tip number 3, speak and write in complete sentences. It may seem obvious, and some of you might tune out right away if you're native English speakers, but honestly, um, we want to make complete sentences as much as possible. I know that if you're in a bar or in a cafe, you're meeting with your buds, you're talking slang, you're sending text messages, you don't need to. But honestly, if you care about writing well and or even actually speaking, doing public speaking, you want to understand that every sentence has a subject, that is your noun, and the predicate, that is your action. You need to have them in both. Um, all students get in the habit. Don't just give the short answer. Use as many words from the text question in your answer as possible. And the reason for doing this is because it helps you to practice the correct grammar, and it also helps you to practice building complex multiple clause sentences. So always take the opportunity. Don't take a short, lazy way. Um, Give the long, most complete answer by taking as many words from the question and putting it in your answer. It's a really, really good study habit. Trust me. So here's an example. What was the last sporting event you watched? And I think this is another else part one question for those who are studying for that. Short answer, my cousin's soccer game. Subject and the predicate, I went. Like it actually, maybe that's not even a complete sentence. It's just because it's like I went to my cousin's soccer game. It just says my cousin's soccer game. So we have the verb here checked out or went to. The last sporting match I checked out was my cousin Henry's high school soccer game. We've added a couple of details in as well. So it's not just a soccer game, it's a high school soccer game. We know what level it's at. We have the name of the cousin and we have the verb, which definitely makes it a complete sentence. And we can actually build on this and bring in more details, bring in more information by looking at the 5 W's of journalism and say something like the last sporting event I checked out was 2 months ago when I saw my cousin Henry's high school soccer game. So we're given the when, we're given the who. You always give the what without even thinking. That's fine. Um, it's great. Put a few of those W's. Give that the W information: who, where, when, what is there, and then with your reasons, give the why in your additional sentences. Okay, rolling right along into our invaluable study tip number 4, which is to make a marking rubric checklist. This can be applied if you are in high school, university, if you're studying for an IELTS or TOEFL or other language test as well. Doesn't matter. You need to get the breakdown of your mark. As long as you can ask your teacher or find out what the breakdown of your mark is out of 100%, and you need to know exactly what parts make up that 100% for this checklist. So that's exactly what a marking rubric is a breakdown of your mark in the different parts that make up your mark in percentages that add up to 100. For example, if we're looking at IELTS or TOEFL, IELTS speaking is broken down, your IELTS speaking mark is broken down into 4 parts, which are the vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, and fluency. If you actually go online or check out some of my other videos, we go into detail on the bandwidth score and all the things that make up each of those. So what you want to start to do is you want to find out, for instance, fluency is made up of cohesion and coherency. So coherence is logical and clear, speaking in a logical and clear way, and cohesion is having your points and everything being connected. The example we're going to kind of look at today is great for upper level, grade 11, 12 high school students or university students. And it's for an academic essay. So I've just made this up. As you can see here, your 100% is broken down as follows. Your thesis or opinion statement is 25%. Your main points, examples, 40%. Your intro and conclusion together are 20%. And your works cited, where your sources of where you get your quotes from, that's your works cited list, that's worth 15%. So as you can see here, I've broken these things down a little more into the detail. And your marking rubric at any university and even high school, you should get as much details as you can to know exactly all the elements that you need to get the highest score possible. You can see here, the thesis statement is clear, on topic, organized. With main points, you have an evidence, that's your example, and then analysis. So seamless integration of quotes, so your quotes fit perfectly into the sentence. And cohesiveness again. Connectedness, connecting phrases, things like that will give you that cohesiveness. You can see intro, conclusion worth 20%, general introduction, general summary, final thoughts or reflections. Remember that your conclusions always have some final thoughts, sometimes about the future. Can't go wrong there. And finally, your works cited is worth 15%, and you will really want to look at that, especially if you're a university student, because your professors will be very particular about what the requirements in the works cited list. So it says here you need at least 3 citations, which means 3 quotes from outside sources. Um, 2 sources outside of the course text, which means you would go to your university online library website and go through articles and do some research and get those quotes from there. Another thing, it says MLA format. So whatever the format is for the quotes, putting in those quotes, you want to know if it's APA or MLA or whatever. And all of those things will help you to get the highest score possible. This is a complex checklist, but if you go through it, everything you need. And it doesn't really matter. Like I said, if you're in high school or you're studying for the IELTS or TOEFL test, find out exactly all the parts you need for the writing and how it's graded, and then start to make that checklist. Go through everything one by one. It's a wonderful way just to be focused and organized. And I always did it in university, and it helped me to graduate with honors. Got a lot of A minuses, A's, and even some A pluses on most of my papers. And I think this is a huge part of it. This is a great study tip. If you can put it into your regular habits, you will benefit greatly from it. Last but not least, our final study tip is to practice summarizing. There's lots of different kinds of mediums and kinds of writing that you can summarize. Um, Basically, when you're summarizing, you're challenging yourself to take a paragraph or a page or a book or a movie, whatever it may be, and find the main arguments, find the most important things and supporting points. So that could be again for a story, a book, could be a comic. It can really be anything, guys. Um, and if you're speaking it, then you want to be able to deliver your answer and do this in 1 to 2 minutes. If you think about else speaking part two, you have 2 minutes to talk about a book or a movie, things like that. So that's a really good time frame. And you want to, the longer the better, right? You want to give as many details and points as you can to fill up that time. So aim for about 2 minutes. So again, you can do like a newspaper or magazine article as well. So one example here we can look at is if you are doing a novel, how do we summarize a novel? Even if it's like 1,000 page book, it doesn't matter how long it is. It could be a novella, a short novel. We want to look at the characters. What are the characters' goals? What is the setting? What are the story? What is the story? And another thing I should add in here right now, while I'm looking at it, we should also consider, so what's the conflict? What's the main problem or villain getting in the way of the character's goals? So a movie is really similar as well. We look at the goals, we look at the conflicts, the setting, the story, and there's also additional stuff that you can put in, you can consider when you're looking at a movie: character stories, the sets, the costumes, the CGI, which is the computer graphics, the special effects, um, editing, how it's cut together, if it moves fast or slow, um, the director as well. So directors have their own style. And even if you have a great appreciation for film, you will look at the cinematography. That's the lighting or the mood, the look of the film, because no good film has ever been made without a good cinematographer, also known as the director of photography. So if you know anything about high contrast or low contrast, about lighting or things like that, then you're getting into a very, very high um, analysis. That about wraps up our essential study tips. These are 5 tips that I hope you can start to use naturally, and I know they'll make a really big difference for you. Good habits stay with you for life. Keep that in mind as well. We want to just have an attitude that if you put forth your best effort, that extra effort will always pay off. It'll always be worth the extra effort. So don't take the shortcuts. Don't be lazy about it. Um, have good study ethics, like good work ethics or values, and you will get you will get the payoff. Final thing that I always tell people is to make the most of your time and your words. These study tips will help you to be more efficient and again to use your words wisely, especially in test situations or even in any kind of writing or essays where you really want every word to count. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. If you've made it to this point, congratulations. I hope this video has been advantageous to you. And if that's the case, feel free to click on that subscribe button. We're going to do many more, hopefully soon. I got a lot on my plate, but I love sharing my teaching experience and my tips with you. And if you're benefiting from some of this advice or have any questions whatsoever about your studies, it doesn't matter if you're in like primary school or university. It doesn't matter if you think your English is poor. Learning English is a never-ending journey. It can be incredibly fulfilling. So don't be shy about it. I will always meet you at your level and we'll just build and grow from there. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks again, guys. Take care. We'll see you soon. Bye.